Hi again, welcome back everyone. Now if you remember last time I had the bike running, it was a bit loud, so I've made some little silencers, put them in there, which was on the last video, and it seems to have quietened it down a fair bit. I think I'll get away with it. Right, something I've been doing in the meantime is the ignition. Now the ignition on it is points, which not very reliable, so to cut down on maintenance, what I've been doing is I've getting hold of a little ignition unit. I'll just bring it across to show you it. So if I have a look on the bike here, you can see the little sensors here, and it's got a magnet on the little rotor inside of there, and it's made by, if I just find the unit, it's this one here. It's made by Dyna. Now this is an old one, I got it off eBay, but everything seems fine on it. The only thing I had to change was this plate was meant for a lot larger bike, and I've cut it down so it fits in there. But I've still got all the adjustment I can make on the timing, and I've set it up and it works a treat. Now that means that we haven't got the problem of contact breaker points, things like that. So next thing I'm going to do, now I said the frame was twisted, so up here this bar which runs here is not running straight, it's running out a little bit. So I'm going to have to try and heat it up and bend it around here, so I'm going to have to strip everything out to do that. And this pipe here looks like a scaffold pipe. Somebody's changed it. Originally it was meant for a Kawasaki Z750 engine, and I've seen a photograph of this, and it did have two separate pipes coming down here, the downcomers, and it went in between the cylinders. And I think there may have been two reasons why they've changed this. One, the pipes may have hit against the exhausts here, because it was meant to go in between two, so it may have been quite wide. And also it was a 750 engine, which may have been quite wider, so under here they may have the pipes, engine tubes may have went too far out rather than being tucked in underneath. So what I'm going to do is, for now, because I intend to change this pipe for a narrower one, and then underneath here split it to two thinner ones coming along to the back of the engine here and onto this bracket. I then want to extend them, so I'm going to bend them up to try and blend them into the back there, so it looks like it's sort of sweeping down and under rather than angular, if you know what I mean. Now the only problem is, when I do these pipes, am I going to get that engine out with these pipes in? So what I'm going to do temporary is, I've got these bars, I've made one for the other side as well, drilled a hole in, so it's going to bolt onto there, and on this side I'm going to weld it on the front to the main pipe coming down there, just to leave it on for now. And then I'm going to take the engine out, make sure that does come out with those bars on, and I haven't got to cut the frame to get it back out. If that works, then when I make the new pipes to go in there, then I won't have any problems. Because if you look up the top here of the engine, there's not a lot of room between the frame there, but when it's wriggled about a bit and pushed up that way a little bit, hopefully it'll clear at the bottom and without the carbs on. So that's the plan for today. So I'm going to weld this pipe on first, and then I'm going to start disassembling things and take the engine out. Right, hopefully that'll hold it in place. So I'll just try and clear up a little bit of clutter and start stripping this out. The trouble is too much clutter in here. I need a bigger garage like everyone. What I need is a little farmhouse with a big barn out the back. I had one of my sons up the other day and he had a try of it up and down the street, and he comes back and says, "Not very fast, is it?" But he's used to the motocrossing a lot at the moment, so he's got a few bikes. KTM 200 2-stroke, which is quite a quick little thing. He's got a 300cc Sherco, which is a enduro, well they're both enduros I think, and he's got a Husqvarna 350 motocross. So when he had to go on this, he said, "Oh, it's not very quick, it's a bit docile," but I thought, well, I'm not after a really fast bike, it's just a fun bike to go plodding about on, maybe snip to work and back or down to shops, go out for a little ride. And the other thing that I discovered when I was changing the ignition, I thought I'll check the old ignition so that I make sure it's sparking at the same time. So I had my strobe light on it, set it up, and I found out instead of firing about, I don't know if it was 10 degrees before I tick over or 12 degrees, something like that, it was firing way after top dead centre. So you never know, it might be a bit quicker when I get that sorted, when I try it out again, because I haven't tried it out since I put the ignition on, not on the road anyhow. Well, I've got this on the exhaust. Well, I added a bit on. I think it was this one I added on, or was it? No, this one was already on when I got it. But on it, for some reason, I don't know if you can see that, the exhaust clamp has been cut in two, straight down the middle. And they've got this piece, should have been round that way. No, sorry, that piece should have been round that way. So I'm not sure what that was for, but looks like I'm going to have to take this bracket off so I can get them off, repair it and put it back on. Not unless I come across another set of these exhaust flanges, and then I might put a new pair on. Right, exhaust's off, two plugs off. Try and disconnect this Dynatec thing. I'm going to mark these ignition wires so that I know which sensor goes to which ignition coil. A little bit of tape on each one. Once I get all the mechanical side of the bike done and the welding and everything sorted, I will be rewiring the bike from start to finish, and shouldn't be too much of a problem because that's me trade. I'm an electrician by trade and in electronics a lot, so shouldn't find any problems. I know a lot of people tend to find a lot of problems with electrical wiring diagrams and that for motorbikes, but they just takes a little bit of patience, that's all. Right. Store that away safe. Another thing I like about this, which a lot of people may not, is that I'm going to try and make the bike look as minimalistic as possible, and to try and cut down on the number of cables and everything. This does have its need some glasses, see what I'm doing. This does have the choke on a lever on the carburetors, so don't need a cable, so that's another cable which I don't need. The seat looks a bit grubby, but looking at it and the history of the bike, I don't think it's ever been out on the road. Underneath, round here is like brand new. It's even got the label on when it was distributed from the factory. It says West Eagle. Date assembled 14th of the 1st 2010. So I'd estimate the bike hasn't been on the road for over 10 years. Keep that in a safe place. Now that ignition which I got was an old electronic ignition, but it was designed for bikes with points, and it was designed to work with the original ignition coils, so I haven't had any need to swap over the ignition coils for modern ones. Now the ignition was designed for a 4-cylinder bike, and this one's only 2-cylinder. But normal 2-cylinders, they've got the pistons in phase with each other, so as they go around they go up and down together. This one, the crank is 180 degrees out of phase for the pistons, so one goes up while the other one's going down. Now that means that you can't use the same ignition coil to fire the cylinders. I've had twins before where they've had one ignition coil because they both fire at top dead centre but 360 degrees apart. This one, with them being 180 degrees out of phase, there's one will fire, then the next one will fire, then there's nothing, and then fire. So we need an ignition that's got the capability of firing at 180 degrees apart, and a 4-cylinder one does that. So that's the reason why I got that as well. Spaces in there, I'll have to remember. Thin one was on the right, thick one was on the left. I was watching another video of a guy, English guy living in America now, or Canada, one of the two, and he does up a lot of old British trials bikes and things like that. Michael, which of the Walker his name, and he was making a frame up, and like this he left a little bit of room so he could put spaces in, and it's what he called a little bit of wriggle room, so you can wriggle the engine to try and get it out when it's in tight places. Right, so at least I know that idea is going to work now. A few little things on the engine. Yeah, they were catching, which maybe able to trim a few pieces off. Don't seem to be used for anything. Right, so I think I can take this off and then start having a look here as to, well, I think first get everything maybe heated up here, try and bend it straight, because front to back the wheels are like that, about 2 inches out, so I need to bring them in. And also one thing which will be accounting for that is the forks at the front, the headstock compared with the back axle, they're about 1.5 degrees out, which doesn't seem like much, but over quite a couple of feet there, it starts adding up, be a half an inch or an inch, something like that. So that's the next thing. So I think the next time, hopefully, I'll have this set up somehow where I can warm it up, then start pulling it about and figure out what I've got to change on it. I think I'll do that before I take this post out, because that post gives us a nice leverage point, pulling backwards and forwards to get the front and back wheel in line. So I'll leave that for now, but eventually that will be cut off. That's a little bit bigger than the main frame, and I'd like it to match. So I'm going to take it down like that, matching, and then flare these off. I might have as well later on cut these off and do it so it's 2 separate plates, or at least one fixed and one separate plate, so I can unbolt that one while taking the engine out. Makes it a little bit easier putting the engine in and out. So that's it for today, I think. So thanks again for tuning in, and I'll see you again later.